welcome to Family Karma Cast. I'm Indra.
I'm Deanna.
And we're ready to go.
Yeah.
What an episode. I feel like a lot happened in this episode. What do you think?
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good way to put it. And then, of course, there's Anisha's appearance on Watch What Happens Live, which has been the subject of a lot of social media chatter, I would say. Which, controversial stuff she said, but good for her because
sorry, I didn't get a chance to watch it just because of homework.
No, it's okay. Well, let's talk about that after or maybe I'll pepper it in throughout the episode.
Okay.
But I guess I'll just start. The main thing that she said that was surprising was in a question. It was like a truth or tequila game. It was, do you think Amrit and Nicholas or Vishal and Richa are going to last longer? And she said neither. And she said, call me in 10 years. Like, they're both going to be broken up. And I was like, whoa.
Why is she saying that?
I get her saying that about Vishal and Richa.
I know why she's saying it. I wonder if she's saying it just so she solidifies if this could be one, if she's insecure about staying on the show.
Yeah,
to create controversy so she can stay on the show. I think it's just like glass houses.
Yeah.
Because you just got married too, girl.
That's what I'm saying is I'm like,
that's
okay.
such glass houses.
Well, I guess it threw into question for him like, well, is Anisha close with Amrit? Like, it seems like maybe not. And so the fact that she said that, though, is like definitely, I mean, because there's been no indication to me that like they're not going to last. But of course, it's a reality show, so we see what we see.
I mean, marriages end up like 50-something% of marriages, over 50% end up in divorce.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I think that's very shady.
It's very shady. The other shady comment she made was, who is the worst dressed in the crew? And guess who she said? Any guesses? She said Monica.
Yeah, that's just because I just think that says more about, like, when people say stuff like that, it says more about themselves than the other person that they're directing their comments at.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you guys mended fences.
I think Monica looks adorable.
Monica looks great. I was like, what about Brian? Or Rishi? I was surprised she didn't say Rishi.
I think all of them dress really well. I mean,
especially the women. Like, I'm sorry, there's nothing to be said about what Bali and Anisha are wearing, and Monica.
I don't understand. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting because I don't know. I kind of like it when I do and I don't like it when a guest goes on Watch What Happens Live and is like, I'm not answering this,
Yeah. She didn't have to answer, but she did.
No.
And anyway, she stirred the turd, and it's definitely, I feel like after this, we have to have a reunion. We have to have, Amrit wants to respond. I think he wrote on Twitter, like, he said like, I have some stuff I would like to say too. And I just think there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we're not seeing on the show, and that has happened since the show was filmed. So we'll see what we get. But in any case, in this episode, we get Monica helping out with Nicholas's dance, which he wants to do, which I think is really sweet.
That's really cute.
Because he was saying, like, I'm not really a flashy person, but he enjoyed that part of Vishal's wedding and wants to do something for Amrit, which is really nice. And Monica has become like the resident dance teacher for all of these weddings, which is really funny. And let's see. So while he's there, like, they have Monica says in her like ITMs that she's interested in getting into acting, and that she has done commercial work before, and she she turned down a KFC commercial because she couldn't take a bite of the chicken sandwich, which, props to her for holding fast to that.
Right.
I mean, some vegetarians,
Which I would think
yeah.
that they would, because that food's not, it's not real, like, you know what I mean? Because there are food artists that work on that food. So I'm surprised they didn't give her a fake one.
Yeah, it seems like they could have. Maybe they're like, we're not willing to do a fake one. Like, you just have to eat it. Like, there are definitely vegetarians I know who, like, the taste of meat, like, actually, like, makes them feel sick. So,
yeah.
like, maybe that's the case. But I think it was more of a, like, morality stance or something on that one from what she said. But,
is KFC, like, people love KFC. I've never had it before.
I think I've had it like once in recent not even recent memory. I remember once when I was like in elementary school, we got it for dinner once, and my mom hated it so much that she was like, we can never have this again. And I don't even know if I've had it since then. It's big in international countries.
Interesting.
Yeah, like especially the developing world. I think because chicken is readily available in those places more so than like in India, KFC is bigger than like McDonald's is there too, but their whole menu is like completely different because you can't have beef because cows are sacred in Hinduism. So they have like different kinds of burgers, like lamb burger and things like that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow. I'd like to try that.
Yeah.
Although I'm wondering if it would make me sick like McDonald's makes me sick in my later years in America. Like if I had a cheeseburger right now, and I'm not just saying this to be cool, like I would have diarrhea all night long.
Yeah. Well, you have like... Yeah,
I have stomach issues too.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't even sit well with me. But I'm wondering if in India or
maybe
like a foreign country,
it's more high quality. I would imagine it's higher quality actually, which is ironic that like in a developing country.
Someone actually email us.
Yeah.
Or text us.
If you're listening from India, like
that would be just like how's the quality there?
Or anyone who has had McDonald's in several different countries and America, can you please comment on the quality?
The quality of McDonald's.
Because McDonald's is everywhere. It's like a little slice of home for Americans all over the world.
Yeah. Which is kind of sad because it's not the greatest.
No, but it is like when you're in a foreign country.
I mean, I used to eat it every day. That being said, I used to eat McDonald's every fucking day in high school.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. What, senior year, me and my friends.
That was the spot.
We drive over to McDonald's, go through the drive-thru and just get a number 2.
Yes, the number 2 meal.
Either that or we'd go get like 3 slices of pizza each.
Yeah, that was the life. There was a Wendy's near my high school that we went to a lot. It was like that, the bagel shop, the coffee place. There was a Noodles and Company that we went to. That was the deal. So anyway, that was funny. So then they're like showing Nicholas, and then Amrit is having his like gym date with Vishal, and they're talking about like leading up to the wedding, and that there's been like, I feel like they're both very open about the fact that they've been bickering and kind of, that it's been challenging, which I feel like that's better than someone trying to pretend that everything's gravy. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Or they're both invested in it.
Yeah. They both
because there is sometimes that thing of like someone checks out and is like, okay, you handle everything.
That's a good point. Is like they're both like equally wanting to like have a say in what happens and planning, and so they're butting heads. Whereas like in some relationships, you might imagine one person kind of takes the reins on everything. So yeah, it does mean that they both care. Nicholas said that he doesn't want it to be in a church because he feels like the church, their stance on gay marriage is just so harmful that he can't do that. But he does want to say vows and have a moment in the ceremony where they say, I do. So I'll be curious to see if they incorporate that.
Well,
And
he wanted to read. Did he say he wanted to read from scripture?
yeah, he said that there would be some Christian scriptures involved. I think that's definitely happening. But
it kind of it just made me a little sad what he was talking about.
Yeah, what was sad about it to you particularly?
I think it's just, it sounds like to me that he's catering a lot to make Amrit and his family happy.
Yeah.
And since there's 3 of them and 1 of him, that he's just going to get all and doing this kind of stricter, or not stricter, but just, following the culture standards. And that, to me, it sounded like a part of him just doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, it was interesting. He was like, I've agreed to things. And then he said, and I've agreed to them willingly. So I think some of it he is really excited about. Like, I don't think he would agree to a full-on Indian wedding if he wasn't at least somewhat excited about it. I feel like it's tied up now in the conversation about the last names, like that maybe some resentment about the cultural aspects is now bleeding into that conversation as well, or they're like affecting each other.
What do you mean? Wait, say that like about, I'm confused.
Like maybe he's feeling a little bit more sensitive about his parents' influence on the wedding now that they had that conversation about the last names as well, where his Amrit's dad was like, I really want it to be Kapai. Like, I wonder. I mean, I agree with you, though. He's clearly not okay with everything that's going on.
Yeah, and I think that there's this thing of like when, I'm not saying Amrit and his family hates on, Christianity, but like, when you take a certain religion like Christianity and you're like, that's bad.
Yeah.
And someone is like, well, there are positive aspects to it that influence my life.
Yeah.
And it's not all bad and it's not all evil. And it sounds like that there were things that were really important to him.
Yeah.
In Christianity. Like for me, I know like there are things in Catholicism that I do appreciate, and, the religion's not for me, but there are certain things because I've read the whole Bible. I had to, but, that are very interesting. I see it as work of fiction.
Yeah, but there are really great life lessons within some of those stories.
Like Jesus would have, if Jesus was real, I'm not sure if he was.
Yeah.
He would have not been doing what the alt-right was doing. And
yeah, for sure.
Christians are doing. You know what I mean?
Know.
So
it's so true.
And I think it is, especially for me, I can see Nicholas's, it's so hard because I don't know. I thought it was just such a zinger when Amrit was like, your religion hates gay people.
Is that did he say that?
Did he? And that was like, and then it went to commercial break.
He said your parents don't even like that we're gay.
Okay. Was that it?
I think if that's what you're referencing, that's what he said in
maybe
like that
that's
conversation
it. I'm sorry.
in the park. I mean, I see what you're saying. I think Nicholas said that they are incorporating scriptures that he likes. So I'm glad that they're doing that. I mean, it's true. Like my mom grew up in India going to a Methodist school run by people who had come from other countries who are Methodist trying to convert everyone. And she always says no one ever converted, but she grew up around the Bible. She like knows the Bible better than any Christian I know, actually. And she always talks about how like Jesus is as a like figure is a wonderful person and stands for all these great things, and that there's so many great kind of stories and fables within the Bible. And so I was happy to hear that they are incorporating scriptures that are clearly important to Nicholas, because that's the culture that he grew up in.
Yeah.
And but it's definitely like no question more of like Amrit's family and their traditions are taking over the wedding.
Yeah. I mean, essentially it sounded like he feels like a not an outsider, but like a little bit of an outsider in the wedding, because it is, when I see it as a white person, it looks like an Indian wedding.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm
not saying it needs to be a white person's wedding or whatever, but And I think it's also because when you turn a new chapter and you enter a new life stage, you are contemplating your past.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that is just bubbling right up and just trying to make sense. You know, and that gets like just totally like, I know when I got married, like that was, well, my contention was my dad was very upset because I was the first person in my whole lineage for my, you know, this was my first marriage to not get married in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And that was, and I think I'm saying selfishly, I had to, it brought up a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of guilt and a lot of hard conversations.
Yeah.
And I'm sure with Nicholas, it's the same way.
Well, think of just how many hard conversations Nicholas has had to have in his life. Not that Amrit hasn't, you know, but I think, you know, and Vishal says it. He's like, just think about how much Nicholas is going through. And he was like, I'm Team Nicholas. Like, stop beating up on him. And, you know, I think you can just see that like Nicholas is like having to reckon with a lot more. And I do like, again, I just think he brings it up with Monica. He's like, and the last name thing came up. And he's like, and I want my name represented, you know? And I think that,
and I don't blame him.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, last week.
And I think it's also hard, must be hard. I can say this, like maybe I say this selfishly, being around families that are close and parents that are really close to their children.
Yeah.
And not having that, you know, as an adult and seeing that can be very triggering.
Totally. And
I'm sorry. I hope you don't feel like I'm taking Nicholas's side.
No,
because
like, I think I'm on.
Can
Nicholas's
I be honest? I'm taking Theo's side because number one, Theo. It's like, well, how does Theo feel?
Yeah. I mean, I think
number one, Theo. Two, Nicholas.
Theo is on everyone's side.
I mean. Theo's actually the peacemaker.
Oh my God, Theo's so cute. Him sitting there.
He's so
all
handsome.
The shots of him in the show are my favorite.
I know.
No, I'm not taking a side either. I think what's nice about
I see so much.
it,
I think you and I see so much hurt. Is that okay that I speak for us? Like this, the hurt is so raw. And visceral. It seeps from the scene that's going on. If you're a feeling person, it'll seep right into your heart.
Yes.
Is that okay to say?
No, and
it's just like,
it's so real.
Dude.
It's so real. Like these are the things that people go through.
And then it gets like, then it goes on from there. Like it doesn't even fucking stop the whole episode.
I know, seriously.
Like I felt like at the end, I was like, post your like. We need all Bravo hands on deck because we need the Bravo investigators on the Trump case and post everything you're taking because we will all
we'll figure it out for you. Okay, so let's just talk about that, the fertility journey. So
do you know what I mean? Like tell us, like we will go to bat. We will spend hours. We will rewind footage to see what you were eating.
I mean, how many of us have had a medical phone call that we're waiting for like that?
Oh my God. And it goes not good.
And you get someone tells you something you don't want to hear. I had that like feeling in my body watching that phone call happen. And
I actually thought of you for the fertility stuff.
Yeah, it was just like,
because everyone has such a different fertility journey and like
everyone does. Like, I mean, sorry,
I interrupted. You were saying the phone call.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, it's just, I think with fertility stuff, I actually don't know a lot of people who haven't gone through some sort of something like in their journey.
You and I both have. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I lost a fallopian tube last year and wasn't, you know, I was assured by everyone that I would still be able to get pregnant, and luckily I was, and I'm so blessed to have like this beautiful baby boy now. But like it's a hard road and you just don't know until you start looking into it.
Exactly.
And this is the first time they're doing that. And Amrit didn't seem that concerned and Nicholas did. And looking at it objectively, I'm like, if both of them are way down, like their sperm count or whatever, like it has to be something they're taking, right?
They're taking, again, put us Bravo detectives.
Give us the list.
You don't even have to pay that doctor. Again, Bravo people, like Bravo fans go by like frame by frame.
Yeah.
They'll pause, rewind.
No, I have done it before. I'm raising my hand here. I have
Oh my
I have
gosh.
paused and like zoomed in on things to just take a closer look. And this is
Well, I told you, like I sent you the one of which I should have put it online of Meredith greets her 2 kids.
Yeah.
In there, like
Hey.
they're dimmer than ever. And she's like, but she always has that voice of like, hey, and then they're like, hey. And like I rewinded, like it's those little things that you're just like, I need to see that like 5 times.
again.
Yeah,
Like
again and again. And
There's
again.
a meme going around, which is like it's like the women from the Miss World competition or something, introducing themselves by like country name. And the woman from France says her France like in the weirdest way, and like I just watched it on loop.
Oh.
I was like, I couldn't stop watching it.
Do you know what was your last Bravo thing? The last Bravo thing I will say that I watched 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Not 1,000. I think I rewinded it 3 times because Andrew was there. Because I was watching it and Andrew was making food. And then I was like, babe, you got to come see this. And then we watched it and then we watched it again. It was when Lisa sits down it's Miami, Real Housewives of Miami, which if everyone's not watching that, like
Watch it.
I mean,
Yeah.
she sits down and she has the sunglasses on and they're on vacation and she's like, I think my marriage is over. And then they're like, no,
Yeah.
you're not, marriage is over. Like you can fix it. And then she goes like, I think like, and then is there another woman? And she goes, there's another woman. Everyone's like freaks the fuck out. And is her name, what is her name with the G?
Alexia.
No, Alexia gets like, I'm like,
Alexia goes
that's
like,
my girl. No, but she gets in fight mode. And she's like, I knew. And then who is it with the G?
Gertie?
She gives me hope for Gertie, who is my
Love Gertie.
She's my
yes.
she's an icon. Yeah. She screams so loud.
She screams.
What is the last thing that you rewinded?
No, it's the same thing.
Oh my God, that reaction.
No, but it was Alexia when she went like, she was like, yes, she's like, she's living there. Or I don't know. She said something.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And Alexia goes, oh.
I know. Alexia goes, oh. We're watching, you know, when you're watching history in the making with these reality shows?
Yeah.
Like, this is what Miami feels like.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, well, we go into that on our Patreon. Shout out to our Patreon.
Yes, please join us there.
Please join. $3. You get 4 extra episodes a month on pop culture content.
And Bravo.
And so...
yes.
I think like just getting back to Amrit
Yeah.
and Nicholas is when they were saying that, you know, $300,000 and just
my
making
God.
like hammering it in, like we are fortunate that, you know, we can take out loans and blah, 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 but not every gay couple
Can do that. Oh my.
can do this. And I think this is like when we're also witnessing groundbreaking television.
Yeah, I had no idea.
No idea.
That is how much
idea.
it would cost. I mean, $150,000 to $170,000 per child, and like the doctor said, there are no guarantees. You know, they're kind of like, we want to have one of each from each of our sperm.
Oh my
We'd love to have
God.
twins. It's like, unfortunately, like it's not that simple. Like science can do a lot and medicine, but like it's not that simple. Like they're not going to be able to.
Well, and then you think of like people like there's a lot, you hear a lot of actors and actresses doing it.
Yeah.
And then actually today we had the news that Paris Hilton just had
her
a baby via
baby.
surrogate.
Oh, was it
And
surrogate?
so, you know what? Yeah.
Oh.
Kudos to her. You know what? Kudos to her.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that surrogacy is also extremely expensive.
I couldn't even imagine.
You have to pay. Just think about like the medical costs, but also you have to like pay for this person to carry your child. Well,
Yeah.
so wait, we are talking about surrogacy with Amrit and Nicholas too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you know, the stress on their faces. Amrit saying like, this is what it's going to cost. And now I'm partner and I need to be bringing in money. I mean, on top
my
of
God.
a 6-figure wedding, which Mary said that she thought it was going to be at least $300,000
Oh
for that
my
wedding.
gosh.
So, you know, between all of these things, we're like getting into the millions, you know, that they need to spend on all these things. That this would be stressful for anyone. Like, it's so much. And I also just appreciated them kind of like showing them like having to like at the fertility clinic, like having to go into a room
when they shook.
And my friend Laura texted me and she was like, I love the part when Amrit asks the like clinician, like, do you have any tips?
I know. Well, I'm surprised that I don't know. Is there like a video? Like I've had friends that have done that, and they said that there are like videos in there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of trying to peek around the corner to see what material they had
I
selfishly,
know.
but
they said
is that okay, Andrea? That's okay to do that, right?
Oh yeah. There was
okay. I want that.
I think they were supposed to like Amrit said like there's no magazines.
I know. Well, and it's like, oh, like thinking about like after like everything we know,
touched the magazine.
Everyone's jizz, for lack of a better word, all over this shit. Like, oh
my god,
stickiness. Oh,
well, you know that's how it works. So I love like they went into their separate rooms. They like shook hands beforehand.
I know.
Anyway, they're dealing with a lot. So when going back to like Anisha's comment about them not lasting, I'm like
is it okay? That upsets me so much because Anisha does not understand. I don't understand. You don't understand. The hurdles
exactly
that they have to. I mean, freezing your eggs. I'm not going to say it's a walk in the park, but literally. You have to find like the female, the surrogate, and
oh my gosh,
freeze the sperm, and then all that kind of thing. Not to mention to be a gay couple.
Yeah.
And if they want to adopt children, I'm sure it's a heck of a lot, even in 2023. No matter how optimistic we want to be, a hetero straight couple adopting a child is a lot easier than no matter how wealthy you are, a gay couple.
Yep. No, and that's what I'm saying is like I don't think Anisha's comment is in response to what we saw in this episode. I think it's more something else is going on that she's responding to. Because I put a poll up on Instagram and another cast member who shall not be named also said thinks neither relationship will last.
What?
Yeah.
Tell me off mic.
Okay. Yeah. I will not.
And listen, like we're listening and we're raising our hands that are married.
Yeah.
I don't even know with the divorce rate as it is.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
And the world as it is, who the fuck knows if we're going to last?
I know.
You know, 10 years.
I know, but it's a shady thing. Like, what if I was like, Deanna, your marriage will be over in 10 years? Like, what if I said that to you? You would be so hurt.
I don't know. You know me. You know how Andrew and I about our marriage. Like, we are an open book.
I know, but I would never say
who the
that.
Fuck knows?
All I could say if someone said that to me, I would be sad about it. You know, like
if you and I had beef in the past, I would be like, fuck you, but that's just the New Yorker in me.
Well, I think
I would be the first one to say like,
who knows?
Like, okay, if we think about like what time and COVID and whatever, like everything is a crapshoot in my world. Like in like you don't know what life's gonna bring you. You don't know what road you're gonna go down. But I just think like I'll just reiterate, for her to be a newlywed, and have all these expectations, these rigid expectations, and it, you know, and be like, I know this, I know that, and I'm not calling her a know-it-all, but like kind of 2 steps down, and just to be like, yeah, they're not going to last for 10 years. Like,
it's hard.
It just sounds really prickly.
Yeah,
and it just sounds. I don't want to say mean, but it is kind of mean.
It's a little like, I know better than you. And it's like, but what do you know?
What is that? How would you describe that? Like,
it's like you just got married after, and please listen to our interview with Anisha if you haven't already. She talks more about her relationship, and you know, like she has a very specific kind of relationship.
And we're rooting for her. Don't get me wrong. Especially like we're fucking rooting for Anisha. I think it's hard because if we're also going back, she thought certain things were going to happen by the time she was this amount of
and
this
they
age.
didn't. Yeah.
And so she was rubbing the crystal ball, and what happened, the crystal ball was like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so for her to make judgment about the future for anyone else's relationship and the outcome, I think is just very, what's the word that we want to use?
It's just strange.
Judgmental?
It is judgmental. It's like looking down upon. The other thing she said, which is related to all this, is she thinks they asked like if something about Bali's relationship, and she was like, I think Bali needs to move in with O'Malley. And I'm like, whoa. What about you and your relationship where you live in Miami half of the time? Like,
girl,
you're in the same. I'm confused. I'm
confused because it's like just a lot of opinions.
Yes.
About other people's life.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like.
And this is what we want from, listen, at the end of the day, this is what we want from our Bravo celebrities. But taking 5 steps back, it's just, Anisha, like, it seems like you're just getting things rolling. Like, you got married, you got engaged, you set these limits, you're going to have you want to have a baby in the future. Like, stop making decisions for everyone else because you have all these requirements for your life.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And to be fair, she was just asking questions that she was answering questions that she was asked.
Yeah. And Andy's so shady. He's like, what's your name again? He's like, okay, I'll ask you these questions that were like written in marker by like the intern.
Fuck Andy Cohen. I'm just
how is his?
Like, he fucked up Anisha's last name.
What did he say?
He stumbled on it. He went, Anisha,
yeah, he always kind of
Ramakrishna. And
say it 5 times in the mirror, baby.
And then you could see he like looked at a producer and was like, I'm sorry. Like he's clearly been talked to about, you need to say these people's names right. And he still couldn't do it because I'm sure he refused to be prepped. Like,
okay, so I'm reading so much about being a multiculturally competent therapist and respect and how to walk into the room and how to say people's names and ask questions and get things right because it's a matter of respect and not putting like your white privilege in front of someone by like fucking up a name.
No, and
especially when you're on natural television.
And it's your fucking job, Andy. Like, come on. Like, and it's
these
so
people are
disrespectful.
writing your check.
Do you know how many people? And someone wrote to me on Instagram, and it's so true. They said he can say all the names on Shahs of Sunset.
Wow,
he
thank
can
you for
say
that,
all
listener.
the names
thank you
and
for
like
that.
you know and the other franchises that are equally difficult. He knows them because he has like prepped on them. Like, he called Richa Rish. He said
That's crazy.
Vishal and Rish. And I'm like, at this point, Andy, is it just like you can't, like, these are all phonetic names that you can just read, and he's not even able to do that right. And it's just like 30 seconds of prep would help so much. Like, I can't believe it.
And that's the thing. It's like, I feel like I was a little forgiving.
Yeah, the first
with him
3 times.
A little bit. little forgiving. And now when I'm hearing all this down the road, it's like, and not to mention, you're getting her name wrong and you're setting her up for like all this controversy. Like you're not invested, and like you're stirring the turd, as we say, and Andy, and you're not even like respecting this woman of color in front of you that's one of the stars of a show on your network.
No, and there's something, and people have mentioned this too, it's not just me. The way he's spoken to all of the Family Karma people when they're on Watch What Happened Live, like his vibe with them has been cold, and it's been uninterested and almost like rude at times. And I felt it with the Anisha's appearance again too. So it's just not cool. Like, Andy, what the fuck? Like, get your shit together. Like, it's not
Andy,
cool.
get it together.
And it's like, I want a reunion, but at this point, I'm like, I don't want Andy to do, like, he can't be the person who does the reunion. Like, it will be so disrespectful and cringy if he does it. Like, he can't say the name.
I really would love if they got someone from this. South Asian American. Remember when
They should
Nicki
get
Minaj
Calpen.
did?
They should get Calpen.
Did she do Potomac? That's wow. Especially as like a gay South Asian American man, that would be very
I don't
interesting.
think Calpen is gay, is he? Oh, yes, he is.
He is.
Yeah, he came out last year, right? Or it was like very recently.
Yeah, and then he had his book release, and we're like, Calpen, come on our podcast.
And he's been very open about how much he loves Family Karma. Like, he watches the show. He's like such celebrity. He would be perfect.
We love you, Cal.
Cal, I'm going to start tweeting that out, or not tweeting, but like putting it on Instagram. Let's try and manifest this, everybody.
Can we?
We better.
I want to say my successful Instagram is failing. I go on once and then I go off.
No,
that's my thing. I dip in.
You do.
I see the first picture to remind me of like why I can't be on it, and then I'm out.
Okay. Brian and Anisha have this conversation. Brian says he wants a kid by 35.
Okay, so he has 5 years.
It's doable.
Sure.
But I see Brian starting a family more around like 40. That's what I see for Brian. I see him maybe actually getting into a serious relationship around 35. And then maybe like engagement, marriage, kids a few years after that.
I'm wondering if like flying the coop, is that what is it? It's called leaving the nest.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's going to kind of push him, like be the catalyst to get him towards a long-term relationship. You know what I mean? Like I'm wondering if it'll happen one after the other, because moving out is such a huge deal.
Oh my God. Okay. First of all, how sweet was Brian's dad, and how just like not upset, but just like
that's really sweet,
bittersweet, the move out for him. Like
the buds,
he loves his son, and they hang out like that family. We want to talk about close families. Like, if you watch Brian's Instagram stories, like he is always going out with his parents and brother.
That's so sweet.
Like they are a very close family.
Selfishly, I want that.
I know, and it's just like, it's so sweet.
Even though like they get like just kind of like getting to that close relationship. I mean, they must be close if he's leaving condom wrappers on the ground of his bedroom.
Good point. I mean, okay. So then he's showing him
like,
around
I
the apartment.
Dare.
And he's like, so I'm going to borrow the lazy boy and the TV.
I have a question. Okay. Again, me trying to figure out like layouts and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So the back, is that a first floor apartment, since it has that?
It looked like it was up a little to me. It looked like it was on a higher floor.
But like I didn't see a view because there was like a grass thing.
Okay, so I think maybe his balcony overlooks a courtyard. So
they put the grass?
I think there's, those grass walls that they do these days?
Yeah, why is there a grass wall?
It's like an in design thing. I don't know.
But wouldn't you want the natural sunlight to come in?
Well, I think the wall
that's
was
what I'm
like
so
farther
confused.
away than it looked. Like, I don't think it was right outside. I think it was like on a far away wall.
So where's the sun coming in?
From the like courtyard. I don't know if there's a lot of sun.
I think about these things. You know what I mean? When I'm walking through, and there's nothing better than going on a little like apartment tour, a house tour with a Bravo celebrity.
Well, in Miami, maybe direct sun is not what you want because it's so hot there.
And we always forget it's Fort Lauderdale, isn't it? Like it's like one of the forts.
Yeah.
Is it Fort Lauderdale?
I think it's Fort Lauderdale is what he said. When he was like, I'm going to sleep on this hard floor. And this.
Oh, that's such a boy thing. Like, this is just like, I've never.
It's like, get an air mattress. Like, please go to Target and buy a $50 air mattress.
I mean, I've never seen like a more boy thing than it was not even a sheet.
No,
it was a fitted sheet without a fucking mattress on the hardwood floor.
I know. And like, that talking about furniture, like Vishal and Richa's situation.
Yeah, and that's I mean, but they put up the bed.
Of course. The bed. And I can relate to them so hard right now. Like, I moved into a new home like 8 months ago, and we are still furnishing it because Vishal said things are all back ordered. Like, that is so true. You cannot, like, I ordered a couch literally in June, and Then they said 18 weeks, which was going to be like October. Then they said April. Then we found out the company is like selling to another owner or something. So we don't even know if we're going to get our couch. Like, and this is not.
Do we know what company is it from?
It's Interior Define. Please do
Okay,
not.
if we have a listener.
Don't like.
Oh, who works there?
I don't know who works there, but like, oh, no. For the listeners, like, please, if you want something from them, think twice.
Oh, don't do it.
Yeah. Like, literally, we're not going to have a couch.
But if you work for the company, push a couple buttons in that computer to get that.
Oh, yeah, please. Can you just help me?
Just like do some maneuvering, because that's the thing is like, I always tell my kids, you want to be nice to everyone working customer service on the phone.
That is true.
Because they have access to stuff that you don't have access to.
Yep.
And if you're nice to them,
You can get
them.
something. Yeah.
You can get them to do something in the system
Yeah.
that you're unable to do, that can speed things up, that can get you free something, and that's why I'm always like, be nice to them. You gotta always be nice to them.
It is. I totally follow that mantra. The one provider I cannot be nice to is Comcast. Those assholes are just.
Or Time Warner. Did you ever deal with Time Warner cable?
Internet company
In New York, they were
in
the
New York?
fucking
Yes.
Oh my god, they were the worst. Yeah, they were the worst.
They had a monopoly on like all of New York. It was unreal,
It was terrible.
and they were such. Yeah. So anyway, I can totally relate to Vishal and Richa. When we see. So okay, we need to talk about Lopa Auntie's visit and
Very
the sister.
very intense.
And so we find out more, and someone sent me a website that showed Neethi, her sister's, some information about her. And so she's 45, and I think Richa is like my age. So that means her sister's like almost 10 years older than her. And she went to Harvard Medical School and is an anesthesiologist, and she had some other like very impressive thing on her resume.
She's
like,
a smart cookie.
She's like the vice president of some like I don't even know. You can look it up, but so I don't know why. I don't know what I thought about her sister. I guess I didn't know that she was that much older. I didn't know anything, but
so she had more the interesting thing is she had one-on-one time with Lopa.
Yes, and her new
Auntie.
son. She had a baby.
Oh, I was thinking about like she was 10
Oh,
when Richard was born.
yeah. Like,
does that make sense?
Yes, going back to the psychology.
Like she was she was the only child with Lopa. So her and Richa had totally two different experiences.
That's so true.
I just think of like they have like this thing in counseling or in therapy called like Adlerian theory, and it's like where you stand in the family, and like it's called the family constellations, and
like birth order.
You know, birth order, and also like how when the second child comes along, like your role in the family. And so I thought of that when I was like, oh, so she was 10 when Richa was born.
Yeah, like, or maybe like 8, 9. We're going to say like between 8 and 10 years old. So there's a big age gap. And that's so true. So Lopa Auntie, like that was her only daughter. And we know Lopa Auntie got divorced. So
and she's getting Lopa in a different stage in her life than Richa is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a very big age difference. That's what the age difference does.
I just think.
So are they from the same dad? It's none of my business. Are they? Do they have the same dad?
I think. Okay. I think so. I think Lopa Auntie was completely traumatized by her daughter abandoning her. Like, I think Lopa Auntie has a lot of things.
I do want to say, did she abandon her, or was it
she stopped talking to her completely?
And but my thing is like how much conversation was had before that? Because it's like there's
yeah, that's a good question.
Sister's truth, there's Lopa's truth, and then there's the real truth, right?
Yep. From what we hear, and the only perspective we have is Lopa Auntie and Richa, is what they said is she stopped talking to us completely for 10 years. after she
met
got into this
her
relationship.
ex-husband.
Yeah. And so however it went down, that has got to be painful for a mother and a sister, especially the mother. And I think, do I think Lopa Auntie is handling it the best now? I don't know that I would be doing what she's doing. I don't know because I'm not in that situation. But
so are we to think that they do have contact, or is it just Rich and the sister have contact?
No, Lopa Auntie went to go see her new grandson.
Okay, because I didn't know if she grabbed those pictures. I was confused from Instagram or something,
no.
or she was physically there.
She was physically there. And she met the grandson. She was talking about how like she wanted to hug me and I told her I couldn't, or like she wouldn't hug her. Like,
wait, the sister wouldn't hug Lopa, or
no, the
Lopa
sister tried to hug Lopa Auntie and Lopa wouldn't do it. And she said to the sister Neethi, she said, "How would you feel if your son abandoned you? That's how I felt," which I think is tough love. Again, I don't know what I would do as a mother in that situation, but we've seen Lopa Auntie is a tough person and with a really hard exterior, and the way she's handling the situation is equally as tough. And
I'm just wondering, it's like, again, like, you know, they're painting this picture of like this woman just walked out of their lives without any, you know, rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
But I'd just be curious about what was the daughter's experience growing up as the firstborn.
Yep.
Her connection to her mother, what she received from her mother, what she didn't receive from her mother, what she asked of her mother, you know, all of those things factoring in. Because, you know, when you don't...
But what about... And Richa, too, though, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. But maybe, you know, it was like... We don't know. Maybe Richa was like reporting everything to Lopa Auntie. You know what I mean? It's like, and she had to make a clean break. And sometimes I always think that when people cut, and again, this is someone who has a very strained relationship in her close familial ties. I think breaking up, stopping contact, especially with a parent, is the hardest thing you might ever have to do in your life.
Oh my God.
And it doesn't come out of nowhere. And it's not because it's easy to do or whatever. I selfishly sometimes side with the person, the child that breaks the contact. Because they were maybe not receiving things that they needed to receive. Yeah. And I'm not saying I side with the daughter, but I always think that there's two sides to every story with that situation. Yes. And I don't necessarily buy Lopa being like, she left me, she abandoned me, and blah, 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 and having no introspection. What is it called? Like looking back and being like, well, maybe it was because this and this happened. Yeah. No, totally. That the introspective part is definitely part of it. I mean, maybe Lopa was making fun of the partner like Vishal, and she was like, cut it the fuck out, or else we're not going to be in your life.
That is a really good point, Deanna.
Maybe it's, you know, maybe it was a pattern. You know, because Richa and Lopa get on this thing of they both make fun of Vishal. Yeah. Which for me personally, it goes my immediate family first and my parents and siblings second. Yeah. Because it's like my job is to protect my kids and protect my husband. And if they were dogging on my husband over and over, I would be like, these are the rules for us to hang out. And if you keep doing that, I am not going to hang out with you. Yeah. That's just one scenario.
That's a really good point, is maybe there was a similar dynamic. I do want to say, I don't think Richa makes fun of Vishal, like in a really hard way. Like they poke maybe fun at each other, like as a married couple.
And that was actually, thank you for pointing that out. That's very true.
I think Lopa really is actually mean to Vishal. Yeah. And so that's a really good point, is maybe Neethi's husband.
But Richa doesn't really like say lay off. Cut it out.
That's true. She lets it happen.
And I love Richa. I don't want to be like Richa's a bad person. No. Like whatever.
No, they have their own ways. They're different people. But
Richa's loyalty is to Lopa Auntie, which I yes. Yeah.
You could see Lopa Auntie like saying
It's cruel.
mean things to Neethi's husband and
Yeah.
him maybe being like, you can't talk to her.
Or she's
anymore.
just like, you can't talk to the father of my children, or oh no, she didn't have kids. So my partner like that, we will get married.
Yeah.
And if you continue to pick at him and be cruel,
Yeah.
I'm not accepting this. Maybe she went to therapy, the daughter, and was like, this is what I need.
Yeah.
This is the kindness. Please lead with your heart. And Lopa, I know I'm taking the daughter's
No,
side,
but
and
that's
I
so-
apologize.
That's so important because I immediately was like, oh, he's a controlling asshole and they're divorced
what they
now
painted
and
the
whatever.
picture.
And
And
like
who
that
knows?
may be part of it too.
That may be true. 100%.
But like, I think it's important that you're bringing up this other perspective because I hadn't even thought of that. I think it's like from what we hear in this conversation, it sounds like Neethi does want to reconnect with her family.
And that's beautiful,
though.
and we support
and Vishal
that.
is facilitating that, and that's a beautiful thing. Like, I really
Vishal's like become like this, like, it's interesting watching him on his healing journey.
Yeah.
And wanting that for others.
Yes.
And I think that's never a bad thing.
I know. And you know another mean thing Anisha said and Watch What Happens
God.
Live? She said that they asked which cast member has changed for the worst, and she said Vishal. And Andy asked why she said that, and she said the thirst is real. And I'm like, nothing that Vishal's doing seems particularly thirsty to me.
He's the goofy one. You know what I mean?
I don't
like
think
he just
he's
gets
like, he's not starting drama. He's not like, all of the stuff with him is his own internal stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I was really like, I don't get that.
a lot of this seems a little bit out of left field. But maybe she's
I think
like,
Anisha and Vishal like had a big falling out.
yeah.
And maybe that's where that's coming from. But I don't know. It's weird. In any case, I hope that they can like come together as a family again.
Yeah, I think, I always want to see a family succeed.
Yes.
And out of love and with love and kindness and understanding. And that's what I hope for them.
And I do think, Vishal tries so hard to be like so affectionate and things.
I know. We were texting about the mom thing. Oh, I mean, bless him,
Vishal,
right? Bless him. You're trying so hard.
He's like, so this is a thing that does happen culturally. I think not just in Indian culture, but in all cultures where like maybe you adopt like a name for your parents-in-law. And the issue with Vishal is he just keeps saying it. He says it in every sentence. Like, it's as if every sentence I said to you, I ended with Deanna or I started with Deanna.
Oh, well, okay. I'm going to pay attention to that.
Yeah. It's like he says it in every sentence. And it's like, you don't need to say it in every sentence.
Wow. Oh, when he called down Mom, I was like, oh, I don't know why this feels like very uncomfortable.
That's like something
But
you don't.
you know what? I think that says more about me than him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's all me. I don't want to be like, oh, he's uncomfortable. It's like that says more about me and probably my issues with in-laws and parents and like everything and family than what he has. He's genuinely leading with his heart.
He
and like
is.
I can't fucking like I can't chastise that.
No. And I think also interesting is like Lopa and Richa are just not very affectionate people. And I think that there's like a conflict there, which we see like in the therapy session with Vishal and Richa. But Richa's very honest about that. And Lopa Auntie is too. I don't feel like there's actually tension there. Like, I think they understand their love languages are different.
Yeah.
But like in the holy scene at the end, did you notice Lopa and Monica hugged each other?
That was, I swear to God. Because, wait, does Lopa put Monica standing in front though, right?
They're standing next to each other and they embrace.
And then they embrace.
It
was
was
the wildest pairing, and which we support this.
It warmed my little heart.
You know,
to see
it's like
that.
one of those, the lottery balls that are just ping ponging randomly around. It's like, okay, those like the 6 and the 7 are pinging around to each other. Okay, I accept those.
Yeah, I accept that. Yeah, that was wild.
That was wild.
What else is there?
Oh, and did you see Rishi's parents there?
Were
I saw
they-
his mom. I saw his mom. I was like, who is that? And I was like, I think it's Rishi's mom.
Rishi's parents were there, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Which makes sense because if Monica's dad is hosting it, then that totally makes sense.
Yeah. And Rishi, his restaurant catered the whole thing. So there's that too.
Oh, okay. That went over my head.
Yeah.
I didn't know this then.
Okay. So the therapy
What
session.
a beautiful... Oh, okay. I was going to say the holy
yes, the holy thing
celebration
was,
was so beautiful.
I actually did not know about the bonfire thing on the day before Holy, where you sort of like rid your evil thoughts and things like that. And I thought that I didn't know that. I've never done that myself. So it was...
Well, I could see a lot of white people taking that and doing that. You know what I mean? It seems very Boulder. And I'm like, oh no, because they are just like, it's like the cultural appropriation of just like, oh yeah, I'm going to steal this from this culture and bring it down into white Boulder and just let's all do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they're going to like start a wildfire or something.
No, well, oh my gosh, there was nothing.
Which is like literally how the wildfire started.
Literally, we have fires here all the time in Boulder.
Yeah.
And when the thing was on fire and going and the bond, I mean, we can't even have fires here.
No, you're not like
there's no open flames here at all.
You can't go camping and have a fire anymore. Like
no.
And yeah. There's just not enough
and so
moisture.
When that was, I honestly just like my chest tightened a little bit when I saw, and then the thing on fire, and it was like almost, and everyone was so relaxed
like, it's a fire hazard. It's a fire hazard.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
I bet
not Colorado.
The lawyer was like, this is gonna be a lawsuit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, but the therapy...
And the cameraman, did you see when the cameraman grabbed it?
Oh no, I missed that somehow.
Or maybe it was a producer. Okay, yeah, sorry, keep going.
I was probably like writing something down. Okay, the therapy session. So you was it you or Mary? Because we were texting about it. Thought that maybe the therapist was an actor.
That was Mary. I was like, what do you mean?
I was like,
they have like actor therapists on here,
I
feel
see
like
Bravo
Mary
doing
sometimes
that.
knows. Mary sometimes knows like inside stuff that we don't know.
She does. She's very like she's in the blogs and like Reddit and stuff. I think more than I am. And we stand Cousin Mary, of course.
Well, and she's like younger and more hip.
Yeah,
and more
exactly.
With it.
All
we're
those
like
things.
we're like some. We're like you and I are worried about like the beach catching fire.
And Mary's like,
and like someone hurting themselves, and
is
she's
this
like,
therapist real or what?
I know.
Anyway, I mean the camera angle. Do you think like they didn't allow
her face? She didn't want her face showed, which was kind of interesting. That's what I took it as. It could be totally wrong.
So we only saw like 5 minutes of what presumably was like an hour-long therapy session, but it was interesting. I think couples therapy is very different from individual therapy in my experience.
Yeah, I mean, couples therapy I think is an art.
It is an art. Because
it is so hard.
You're not only dealing with two different people, you're dealing with their dynamic and what they want out of the session. Mm-hmm. Like, I think what she said about things snowballing was absolutely accurate. Like, you go in, and this isn't any therapy thing, you go in with a problem per se, and then all of a sudden it's connected to all these other things. This is just my experience in therapy. I related to that kind of, like maybe you think there's one thing that's an issue in your relationship, but really there's a lot of other things going on that might relate to that. And it's not that like they're all problems, but like things are always more complicated than you think they are, kind of.
I have 2 minutes.
Okay.
Before I have to start doing summer camp.
So we have to wrap up here, but
I am so sorry. I have to register my children for summer camp, and it is like trying to get Beyonce tickets. It is so cutthroat, and I have to like have 4 computers open.
Oh my God.
It's a nightmare. And it costs so much money.
I'm picturing you with 4 laptops open and like 3 smartphones.
Andrew and I are coordinating so we can get into this, like, I don't want to say stupid camp, but it's just like,
oh my God.
Like, what have we come to, people?
I know.
What have we come to?
I know.
And the thing is like, my kids have to be in camp because I'm going to be working and Andrew works, so like what?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's complaining. A mom's life. # mom's life.
Yeah. So there is more that we can say. Maybe we'll like talk about it a little bit more in the next recap that we do. But any last thoughts on like Vishal and Richa? Anisha's engagement ring, 4 carats is what she wants.
I could do a whole episode about 4 carats. 4 carats.
Yeah, it's
tough for me. It's tough. Engagement rings are,
I think what you said, like the asking for that engagement ring combined with a deadline is hard.
It's tough.
It's tough.
It's you know, and I say it's never, that's not for me.
Yeah.
Again, I picked out my engagement ring, but my engagement ring doesn't have diamonds, and it's not to whatever, but it was made in the 1800s, and
I think it's fine to pick out your engagement ring. But
yeah, but I was definitely not like, I need this carat. Mine is.
No, I mean, everyone has different priorities. And Anisha, I think, has clearly shown what her priorities are. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So Deanna has to go. We'll end with that. Rishi also loves diamonds. The way he lit up when they were talking about diamonds. that made me laugh.
I love Rishi. I know he's like might have cheated or whatever, but he's so sweet.
We're gonna find out what this mysterious date is in the next episode. So, all right, we gotta go. We love you all. Join our Patreon, and with that, namaste, bitches.
Namaste, bitches.